Hello, everyone. We will get going in just 1 second, just waiting for attendees to join from the session auditorium. Just give this 1 second and we'll get going. All right. Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Rise with SAP, the Real Transformation Catalyst, hosted by SAP Insider and presented by Yash Technologies. I'm Robert Holland from SAP Insider, and I will be your moderator today. We have just a few announcements before we begin. This webinar is designed to be interactive between you and the presenters. After the presentation, we will host a Q&A session, and we invite you to submit your questions using the questions panel within the GoToWebinar console. We will answer as many questions as time permits. A copy of today's presentation will be available in an email to download in an email after today's session. Now, on to the presentation. Discussing today's topic will be Jude Xavier. Jude is the SAP Functional Practice Head at Yash Technologies, and joining him will be Sridhar Oraganti. Sridhar is the SAP Technical Practice Head at Yash Technologies. Jude, Sridhar, would you like to introduce yourselves? You might be muted.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Robert. So my name is Jude Xavier. I'm a SAP Practice Head at Yash Technologies. I've been in business for almost about 18 years in various roles. And after that, somewhere in 2004, 2005, I moved on to SAP. And since then, I've been doing, I've done several implementations, several business transformations, led global teams. And in this role, I'm working with in this role with Yash Technologies. I'm kind of helping customers in their business transformation journey. And I'm based out of Princeton, New Jersey. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Sridhar. My name is Sridhar Oraganti. I have been into SAP from late 90s and associated with Yash Technologies from around 2004. In my current role, I have been leading the SAP data analytics, integration, extension, and the SAP infrastructure services for Yash Technologies in the US. And have been working with Jude and other customers in helping them in their business transformation journey, especially with the concept of Rise with SAP coming into play. There are quite a lot of technical components that have come into play that will help the customers right from process insights all the way up till the S4 journey, which we will anyway go through. So that's pretty much it. I'm glad to be here talking to you all. Thank you.
Very good to have you both, Jude and Sridhar. So, Jude, I'll hand it over to you. Let's talk about what's going on with Rise with SAP, and is it the real transformation catalyst?
Sure, Robert. So let me start with a small background to this. You know, the Harvard Business Review, when it did a study of the top transformations of the last decade, it came out with 52 companies, out of which they shortlisted 20 companies, and they called it the Transformation 20, top 20 transformations of the last decade. Now, the top of the list was Netflix. Now, in 2013, their CEO, the Netflix CEO, Reed Hastings, he released an 11-page memo to his employees and investors, detailing a commitment to move from just distributing content digitally to becoming a leading producer of original content that could win Emmys and Oscars, as he put it. The memo said, we don't, and I quote, we don't and can't compete on breadth with Comcast, Sky, Amazon, or Sony. For us to be hugely successful, we have to be a focused passion brand. Starbucks, not 7-Eleven, he said. HBO, not Dish. These were his words. Ever since that vision that he detailed out, now Netflix went on, we all know Netflix went on and its revenue tripled roughly, and its profits soared, and the stock on the stock market also soared. You might wonder what this story has with the topic today. Well, we are talking about business transformation today, and I thought this is pertinent, and we should talk about a company that underwent such a business transformation and what were its goals and why did they go and how did they go about it, right? And then focus on Rise with SAP and how it can help you in your business transformation journey. So before we go on to the Rise with SAP and what really Rise with SAP comes with, I want to talk about some of the business challenges that businesses face today. And what I'm about to show you are some of the challenges and trends that we are noticing in business transformation, right? And changing, evolving customer needs. Okay, this is one of the first things that's the challenges, list of challenges that we have. And while the customer, he's been constantly their needs have been changing. The way they do business is changing. More and more customers seem to be doing business on the internet. They seem to know what to buy. They do the research even before they come to the store. And the way the advent of portals like Amazon, Uber, Airbnb, and things like that has revolutionized the way the customers do business. And so, there's been a changing aspect of the customer needs. And this is one thing that we have to realize. And how do we how do we meet these needs? So that's the question, right, in business transformation. Next is the business process. Now, we were talking to one customer, in the garment industry. We're working with one customer in the garment industry, and we were giving them a demo on what exactly SAP really provides. And we're showing them a demo about order to cash scenario, right? So when we showed them how we create a sales order, when the customer says, well, we don't do it like this. We don't create a customer order. Our customer order comes from the internet. We have Shopify. The order is booked on Shopify. It comes and falls directly into our system. We just fulfill it. And then we had to architect the business process completely new. So the process is, what I'm trying to say is, the processes are changing. There was another case where, when we started showing them how you do production in the shop floor, creation of a production order, running the MRP and all that, then he says, I have 30,000, Jude, I have 30,000 orders falling every day. And if I have to do operational confirmation for maybe five processes per order, do you mean to say that 30 into 5, 150,000 operations I do in a day? Well, I don't have the time to do that. How do we do that? So then that called for automation. So what I'm saying is that, the business processes that are there in the traditional ERP landscapes need to change. It does not reflect the business processes as on date. So these business processes need to be completely re-architected new. So that's a reality. Service providers, again, are looking at new business models, right? So the way Amazon and Shopify does business, the consignment, they don't hold stock. They just pass it on to a third party who fulfills it. It's a new business model. How do we leverage that? How do we take advantage of that? And then again, organizations are moving towards modernization of their supply chains. So today, the customer, when he books an order, he wants to know on which date the delivery is going to be made. In the past, he was willing to wait based on your promised date. Now the promised dates need to be exact. So when you book an order on Amazon, you see that you see when you're going to get that product, right? So based on that, you either go ahead and pay up or you cancel the order. So that's the reality today. So what does it mean for the business? How do they ensure that from the time that they get the customer order and do their planning and they dispatch the goods, that it can meet the promised date that you are promising him on the portal? So that's another challenge that we are seeing. And then the data. There's so much of data that has been generated by the business over a period of time. What do we do with the data? Of course, there are analytical tools that business has been using in the past and trying to leverage that and generate some intelligent insights. But of late, there have been several tools which have come up with some very good, analytical processes that can unlock the power of the data itself. So the data management is, as it was in the past, was more not that very effective, and we need to look at new ways in which we can leverage the data. So that's another aspect of the trend that we are looking at, and that which customers are expecting that will come as part of their business transformation. And then automation and logistics business networks. We all have heard about Ariba and Coupa and so on. So these give you access to a huge network of vendors, suppliers, customers, and so on. There are different networks for different use cases there. And there is the need to network with your shippers and transportation agencies. So that's another logistics business network that needs to really change in a very significant way. That's another trend that we are seeing. Automation again. So more and more people, we are seeing a lot of retention in the market, and there's a lot of stress on resourcing. So what's the key? And so the automation has become more and more evident in the market, in the IT industry. Today, when you call up Verizon or when you call up any of the customer service portals, it's an automated AI that answers you. It's got a human name, of course, but it's an automated AI. And the voice processing is almost AI nowadays. So we are seeing more and more automation being built, and there are more use cases both in manufacturing and other areas where automation is taking its use cases there. And then, of course, the HR. One of the predictions that is being made and that we are seeing today is that HR will take a very sharp turn towards tech. And already we are seeing learning management systems being online. You're seeing a massive MOOCs, as they call it, where universities are doing training on the net, and learning and management systems are being, employees are using online portals for learning and management system. Performance and goal management is completely automated. So these are trends. Today, disruptions are no longer driven by historical industry leaders, but by new entrants and game-changing technologies. These are the trends that we are seeing. And how do we leverage SAP, and how do we leverage Rise with SAP in meeting these challenges and trends in business transformation is what we'll talk about in the next few slides. So the next couple of slides is a research that has been done with SAP Insider. And Bob, Robert, I would like you to talk about this, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jude. And this is research that we published just a couple of months ago in January, and we really wanted to try and understand, because we had looked at Rise with SAP last year, and we had seen that there was a significant connection that SAP Insider audiences were making between Rise with SAP and transformation. There was still a lot that people needed to learn about Rise with SAP based on that research. I mean, obviously they were mostly familiar with solutions like SAP S/4HANA Cloud, but some of the other components with Rise with SAP they were less familiar with. But SAP had done a very good job connecting their messaging of Rise with SAP being transformation as a service. So we really wanted to try and understand how transformation was important to organizations today. And as you can see, less than 20% of respondents said that it wasn't at least important. And for half the respondents, it was, or nearly 60% of the respondents, it was either very important or extremely important to their organizations. And I think this really reflects the fact that transformation is a crucial task for organizations today. Now, I think the transformation that organizations are performing varies. For many, for about 2/3 of the respondents, it was still largely infrastructure-based transformation, but for about half, business process or either business process transformation or business redesign were part of the transformation that they were completing. And I think that sort of shows a shift from maybe simply moving initial deployments to the cloud to really focusing on transforming the way their solutions run to make them to make the most out of them, to really leverage the capabilities that they offer, particularly getting back to like a cleaner system that allows them to leverage technologies like automation and artificial intelligence, machine learning, that sort of thing. So and that's something that that SAP is positioning, and it's very much connected to Rise with SAP. Now, I think you have a second slide here, Jude. And this is what I was really talking about here. Upgrading or implementing new software and solutions in the cloud, that's sort of the infrastructure-based transformation that we've sort of talked about. But the updating and redesigning business processes, redesigning business models with a digital mindset, this is catching up with that infrastructure-based transformation. To a lesser extent, we're seeing organizations participating in cultural transformation within the organization or business organizational structure. I mean, obviously those things are happening, particularly as organizations acquire or divest companies or different other organizations. But I mean, there's a real shift in terms of focus towards this business and process-based transformation, and this is certainly something that SAP is trying to engender with the business process intelligence acquisition that it's now through Signavio, that it's now including with Rise with SAP. So there's definitely, we're sort of seeing a correlation between the types of transformation that organizations are potentially pursuing and what SAP is positioning. Now, not everyone necessarily is looking at Rise with SAP to do that transformation yet, but there's certainly we're seeing trends in that direction, or trends with what people are doing from a transformation perspective, very much correlating with what SAP is talking about. So it was very interesting research. If you want to read the whole research report, you can simply find it online at sapinsider.org. But if you have any questions about it, we have a recording of it that we did a webinar a week ago or so. So back to you, Jude.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Thanks for that. So while the tagline, the business transformation as a service, is used to describe the S/4HANA journey, what we have observed is that most of our customers, whether they are on ECC systems or legacy ERP systems, right? So they are undergoing a business transformation. The last couple of years has only accelerated those changes. So when we look at S/4HANA, we should look at it as a transformation journey and not necessarily as a version upgrade, even if you are on the ECC system. Now, business transformation does not happen in a vacuum. It needs to consider processes, systems, data, and people. Now, business transformation, as they say, is a path to continuous improvement. So the question comes in the mind of the customer, in my transformation journey from the current state to where I would like to be, how can you help me transform? How can you help me get there? So let's take a step back and look at what the intelligent enterprise looks like. We see three areas: the intelligent suite of applications, the intelligent technologies, and the digital platform. And while it is true for SAP, it is true for any system whatsoever, whether it is Oracle or whether any other ERP system. So there is a suite of applications which sit at the top, which contains the customer experience, manufacturing and supply chain, and people engagement, and network and spend management, and so on, all part of what we call as a digital core. So these are essentially the intelligent suite of applications. And this intelligent suite of applications need to be cloud enabled. They need to be on a cloud based, because that's where the world is moving to. No company wants to, I would say very few companies want to keep it on-prem, and there is a strategy to move everything onto the cloud. So you need to have a digital platform on which your suite of applications sit, And that app platform needs to provide data management capabilities, a secure infrastructure framework, and all that. And then you have the latest innovations that have taken the industry by storm: the AI, the machine learning, Internet of Things, predictive analytics, blockchain. All these technologies are going to be more and more kind of being used in the future. And you need to leverage. So whatever system that you're on, you need to leverage these technologies in order to use your intelligent suite of applications on the cloud in a very fruitful way. So this is what the intelligence enterprise is all about. Now, when you look at SAP on RISE, what does SAP on RISE bring you? So it's like an IT-led business transformation in one package. So you have the business technology platform layer, based on which this intelligent suite of applications suite. You have sustainability management. You have intelligent suite of applications, and then there's the industry cloud solutions, industry specific cloud solutions. For every industry, there is a specific solution. So you can use the suite of applications with the industry specific solutions and bundle them together, and that is made available to you on the RISE. And then you have the customer experience management, then business process intelligence. This is one new thing that has been really introduced as part of the RISE. Is ever since process mining has been studied and introduced into the industry, rapid waves have there's of development have happened in this area, and there have been tools like Celonis, like Signavio, like UiPath. All these have developed capabilities where they can mine your data and provide you some intelligent insights. So with the SAP on RISE, the business process intelligence is provided to you as part of the package. And let's look at some of the case studies that have chosen the RISE, right? So Ecobat, this is a battery company that we are working with. There's a large transformation that's going on with this company, and they are essentially processes of lead from the batteries, and they had several systems. Okay, they used SAP ECC, and or they also use Oracle, they use Sage, they use Compare, ExactGlobe, and several other systems. Now, they had several pain points. Most of these systems were disjointed. Their conversion billing, the way they were converting, recovering the lead from the batteries and then converting it into lead, processing it and making it into lead and selling it, was completely customized. And it was pretty inefficient. So it was apparent that most of the business processes that we were using were inefficient. And then they had the complication of trying to do some organizational transformation as well, and splitting some of the companies and making them into different entities. So essentially, when we started discussing with them, they wanted to do a system landscape kind of an optimization conversion project. And then after a study, we found that the best way to go is a greenfield. They chose a greenfield. And so when they chose the RISE, all these factors, like what is the total cost of ownership for them, and they wanted to move everything to the cloud. So in the words of Jamie, he said, for us, it was all about leveraging the cloud with all the capabilities and the backend that SAP has, or what a current staff was able to deliver and support. These were his exact words. And so they chose SAP with RISE as part of their transformation journey. This is one case study. And there's another case study about a company called Cambrex. This is a small and medium enterprise, I would say. And they chose the RISE. They are on ECC, SAP ECC, and they run their and we have been supporting them for quite some time. And their CFO wanted to separate out the financial applications from the logistics applications. And so they wanted to move to, eventual journey is that they want to move to S4HANA. So when they started looking at SAP S4HANA, so there were several options which were looked at on-prem and hosted on the cloud and so on. through a third party. Finally, they chose the RISE because that offered them the most value, both from a commercial as well from a business application perspective. And they deployed the central finance on RISE. Then we have Electromechanica, another company where who chose RISE as it offered, off the shelf with minimum customization, most of the business processes that met their needs. And then there's Tate & Lyle, another company that is a 160-year-old food ingredients company, and they had several systems as well. And so when they considered all the they tried to do that in the ECC system and then move it to an existing on-prem system, and some of the applications they wanted to move to the cloud. So they considered several approaches there. But after careful consideration of the total cost of ownership, they chose to go with SAP S/4HANA and with the RISE program. So these are 4 case studies, I would say, of companies that have chosen RISE and leveraged them as part of their business transformation journey. Okay, so what does RISE really bring in? So it kind of brings in process intelligence, business process design. So SAP uses Signavio, a tool which is on the cloud, which can connect into an ERP system, whether it is SAP or non-SAP system. It can connect to the backend ERP system, pull the data, look at the logs, look at the transaction logs, the event logs, and see how the business is being done and provide you with some intelligence insights. It can provide you some innovation paths as well. So there are predefined templates which are already available in areas like finance, sales and distribution, customer experience, and procurement, and so on, that you can use to develop some intelligent insights. And it works very well with SAP, by the way. So if there is an ECC system, Signavio can seamlessly kind of integrate with the backend ERP system, and then kind of provide you with this insight. Then there is the tools and services. So if you are considering a transformation journey using the conversion path, then you know that there are several challenges when it comes to custom code migration and business partner conversion and so on. So there are several aspects that come in there. So there's a set of tools that are given by SAP on the technical migration itself. And then there is, if you are migrating from your on-prem to the cloud, then there is again, as part of your infrastructure operations, several other tools are again available to you as part of your infrastructure operations. Then there is the business technology platform that separates out. There is a move. In the past, we used to do the customizations in the application layer itself. That made the upgrades very expensive. Every time that you do an upgrade, it was extremely expensive, and you have to test all the processes completely. Now there is a move towards separating out the application layer from the development layer. So what that means is basically your core remains clean, and the business technology platform separates out your application layer from your development platform. So you do all your development on the cloud and deploy them as apps into the application level. For the end user, the experience is very seamless, but from a development point of view, it's a whole new way of doing things. So that's what the business technology platform brings in. We'll look at some of the functionalities that business technology platform brings in, and then you have the SAP Business Network, which kind of connects you with your shippers, with your logistics service providers, with your vendors and so on, to optimize your business process. So when you look at the your transformation journey itself, what is your starting point? What is your journey? Are you a new customer? Are you an existing customer? Do you have SAP on-prem? Or is there a need for mergers, acquisitions, and diversion? So this is the starting point. And then when you start looking at your process discovery, what is your landscape? How it is used? How is your supply chain? How is your customer experience? These are all things that needs to be looked at. And your ultimate goal again is agile ERP, process innovation, and so on. So these are things that business process some of the things with the business process intelligence really provides you with. The process insights, this is one of the snapshots from the accounting document, one of the use cases that Signavio uses for pulling out the data and reporting on it, based on which you can take some decisions. So I'd like to transition to Sridhar. Sridhar, would you like to take this and talk about tools and services and the
Sure.
BTP platform? Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Jude. So, I mean, as Jude laid out, the business transformation as part of the RISE program, obviously, I mean, for us to be able to really transform our own business and rethink our own business processes, remodel our own business processes, obviously a set of activities to be done and a set of tools and services are needed, because a new ERP itself, be those analyzing the existing ECC or any other ERP, if it is a legacy ERP, but I mean, a set of tools and services are definitely needed for us to really do that. So the RISE with SAP program combines all of those and provides all the necessary tools and services that are an absolute must when it comes to the overall transformation. It combines all of those. As explained in one of the previous slides, it gives you an understanding of the existing processes as to how you are performing your existing process, how your systems are configured, where exactly my business is working well, where is it not working well, whether my automation across various different business units is exactly working well in one unit but not in other units. If I'm able to deliver goods from one warehouse well but not exactly do and come up with the same response times in terms of issuing goods in other warehouses. So for all of these, some kind of a process analysis is required, and for those we need to really understand the data, analyze the data, and definitely some or the other tools are needed. And with the RISE program, and just before the RISE program, with the acquisition of the Signavio platform and the tools and tool set that Signavio also comes with, SAP through that acquisition is offering the necessary components of Signavio for the business transformation as part of the RISE with SAP program in itself, that package in itself. So few of those are really good. I mean, especially if you talk about process insights, which is an SAP service, of course, but I mean, there is a similar service that comes with Signavio, which is also called as SAP Process Intelligence, Signavio Process Intelligence. We can actually visualize the process realities. We can actually perform the in-depth analysis of the overall transformations. We can mine the existing processes based on the facts. We can not only just mining, but I mean, after mining and after analyzing, we really need to reimagine our business processes if necessary, with some of the initial challenges and the ideas that Jude in the very initial slide itself presented. For those, if we were to reimagine the processes, how can we quickly reimagine the process, remodel the process? For that, there is also a process manager component comes as part of the Signavio platform. And after that, I mean, you can model and see in simulation, in simulation modes. There is a journey modeler, there is a process collaboration hub, and not only all of these are available, but just after the processes are remodeled, re-implemented in a new ERP system like an S/4HANA Cloud ERP, we can also continue to govern the processes. All of these are bundled together as part of the RISE program, and all these tools and services can be leveraged. That is on the process side. And of course, I mean, from a technical migration aspect, I'm sure you would have come across this. Prior to RISE program, also, I mean, we have the SAP S/4HANA cloud versions. I mean, SAP used to call it with various different names: public cloud, private cloud, extended edition, essentials edition, and so on and so forth. That was prior to the RISE program. But even prior to the RISE program, even if a customer wanted to, leverage the existing ECC processes that they have been running, which they felt to be very good, and their data is good, they did not really feel the necessity of re-implementing some of those scenarios or most of those scenarios, even if they wanted to convert their ECC, but still they wanted to go to a cloud ERP. That was unfortunately not possible earlier. It was only SAP S/4HANA on-prem edition that was the target edition, which is an on-prem edition. And then there is no SaaS-based, software as a service-based S4 then, to which ECC can be converted into. Now with the RISE program, that is one of the key differentiators. While leveraging the SaaS services, while leveraging the SaaS-based cloud ERP, and still, converting my ECC into the SaaS-based ERP, that was made possible as part of the RISE program. That was another key important differentiating factors, as part of the RISE programs. Your ECC on-prem can be converted and converted into a cloud ERP, which is a SaaS S/4HANA cloud. That is also possible, and whatever the tools and services that are necessary for migrating such and converting such ECCs into RISE program, yes, that is the necessary tools are also embedded as part of that. There is something called system migration with or rather a DMO with system move option. That kind of a tool set is also offered as part of the technical migration. And of course, after all that, if you are actually planning on a new implementation altogether, all the necessary data migration tools are also possible. SDI is a new concept that has come into picture, and using which the data migration was made easy. In fact, we are implementing or rather we are using SDI for migrating the EcoBats example that was shown earlier. We are using SDI as a technology to migrate all their legacy ERP systems, harmonize all that into S/4HANA Cloud. So all in all of these tools and services that are necessary are also embedded as part of the RISE with SAP, which will help in the overall business transformation. Next slide, Jude.
Yeah. 1 second. Yeah.
Yes, we have been talking about business technology platform. So see, earlier in one of the slides, we were talking about intelligent enterprise. What is an intelligent enterprise? Forget about SAP for a minute. What is an intelligent enterprise? In any enterprise there are various functions. All the way from your core business process to HR to travel and expenses to your on the HR side, once again, multiple functions. Learning, benefits, and on the supply chain there are multiple functions that happen. Now all of these have to be catered to as part of any IT system or an IT tool set that we end up using. And this entire RISE with SAP program is actually defined and designed around that. Everything is provided as part of that. And one of the key components as part of that is SAP Business Technology Platform. The primary functions of the business technology platform is sit at the platform layer, manage and keep the entire data, and manage all the data, all the functions that are necessary to manage the data, be it a governance function, be it a master data management function. From there, you actually have all the databases, management functions, capabilities, services that are necessary to perform all of these functions. All of these are allowed. All of these are available as part of the technology platform. And after the data is available in the platform, primary functions are mainly three: extension of your business processes of the backend systems, be it SAP S/4HANA Cloud Edition, or be it any other SAP systems, Ariba, or even a IBP system, or any other system that is a on-prem oriented system or a cloud system. All of these extension possibilities are actually offered through business technology platform. You can actually develop. That is what in fact Jude was also explaining earlier. The development platform is separated out and the application layer is sitting separately in the form of the actual product, which is an S/4HANA. But the actual development is delineated and the development is expected to be done in business technology platform in the newer world, so that your upgrades are seamless. Our SAP continues to develop and continues to release various versions, and typically in the past upgrades have been very, very difficult. But with this kind of a model, and there is a concept called ABAP on cloud, and the SAP's terminology and SAP's name is steampunk for that. And if we develop that there, your SAP core is not even touched, and your core is clean, and your upgrades will continue to happen. So those extension possibilities are actually available as part of the technology platform. And integration, there are going to be disparate systems. I mean, we will continue to have all those, and there is a necessity of various SaaS solutions that we would want our backend systems to be integrated with, be those SAP systems or be those non-SAP systems. But in the olden days, we used to use PIPO or a similar middleware platform for that. But I mean, all of such functionalities are available at the cloud with pre-built integrations for various different business processes, be those on the logistics side, be those on the supply chain, other supply chain areas, be those on the HR side, anywhere. All these pre-built integrations are given as part of the business technology platform, which will help to integrate various different applications, SAP or non-SAP. And last but not the least, analytics. All various analytics functions with all the data sitting in the backend systems, the cloud solutions or on-prem systems, and the importance of unlocking the power of the data is very, very, I mean, it's always there. It's very much necessary. All those analytics functions are available. So this is the platform with all of these functions available. This acts as a very, very key component to, integrate various applications, extend various applications, and manage the data. And of course, the what do you call, the latest and the greatest innovations on the AI, ML, IoT kind of services are also available. All of these are combined, and with one technology platform, you can actually provide all of these various, you can leverage all of these innovations.
Yeah, thank you, Sridhar. So quickly, I mean, in summary, right? So a typical customer journey. How does a typical customer journey looks like? You use business process analytics to redesign your business process. There's continuous improvement, and then you move to the SAP on the cloud, the private edition, which is connected to your business networks using the business technology platform. You have the latest user experience and the technologies that come with it, the intelligent technologies that you can leverage. Several services are available. So that's one path when you're going the greenfield way. If you're going the conversion way, then you have several tools. There is the SA provides the readiness check. SA provides the readiness check, the custom code migration app, so which helps you in analyzing your custom code and then finding out exactly what can be migrated, what needs to be re-architected, and so on. And then several tools for your infrastructure and operations. So this is how a journey looks like. And of course, with the S4HANA, there is so much of functionality which is already embedded, and it gives you access to several applications on the cloud, like that integration, business planning, Concur, and SuccessFactors for HR, and so on. So all these applications, whether they are third-party applications or inherent SAP application, it's an open cloud framework. You can connect to any of the applications using the business technology platform. This is what the RISE with SAP provides. And then, of course, the logistics business network, a little bit of more detail into the business network. While the transportation management and extended warehouse management and all the solutions have been part of the SAP suite, the logistics business network itself has been conceived as a business network that provides freight collaboration with your shippers, where you can onboard your shippers and so on. These are capable of handling multimodal freight and providing you intelligence insights, as well as collaborate with your vendors and your suppliers in real time. So this is what the logistics business network provides, and this is available as part of the SAP on RISE. So what is it from a commercial construct? So what does SAP provide with the RISE? Earlier you had the software and support, the infrastructure management, technical managed services, all these were separate, right? So the infrastructure was provided by companies like Azure, Google Cloud, or Amazon. And then software support was provided by a third party again. Technical managed services was supplied by a third party. And then, of course, you had the application management services and the advisory and implementation services that are provided by SAP partners. What SAP is doing with the cloud is it's trying to simplify the lower part, that is the software and support, infrastructure management, and the technical management services, all in one bundle. So you have just one kind of a part number that is being offered to you, and you have the luxury of concentrating on your business process and leaving the infrastructure and all the system related management to SAP. So that's what RISE is provided from a commercial perspective. So in summary, what does SAP offer? So one contract for the entire transformation journey. And then cloud economics with your current functional scope. So flexible extensions. So the predictable cost of migration and a faster ROI. And then you have proven best practices, and then there are extensions that you can develop on your own using the BTP platform and deploy it and use the intelligent technologies which are services provided on the BTP platform. So these are all the things that SAP on the RISE provides. Yeah, this is all I have for today. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Over to you, Robert.
All right, thank you, Jude and Sridhar. As a reminder, you can participate in the Q&A session by typing your question into the questions panel in the GoToWebinar console and hitting, I think you have to hit submit, maybe you just have to hit enter, not 100% sure on that. But yeah, please feel free to go ahead and ask your questions, for Jude and Sridhar here. More than happy to take them. A question for you to sort of start the ball rolling here. Some of the things you sort of talked about are how people can move forward with RISE with SAP. So what kind of tools are available if someone wants to do a system conversion or brownfield deployment with RISE with SAP? I'm not sure which of you wants to potentially take that first. Maybe Sridhar?
Yes. Sridhar, do you want to take that?
Yes, absolutely. So imagine a normal ECC conversion to S4, to an on-prem to on-prem. I mean, typically the underlying ECC to S4 conversion has a defined methodology, defined tool set that is already offered by SAP. Now, there are no new tools that are necessary for migrating an ECC or converting an ECC and migrating it to an S4HANA Cloud Edition in this case. There are no specific or quote unquote new tools are needed. However, it was not possible earlier because the cloud solution sits on its own database that is hosted by SAP, and that underlying database was never opened to customers in the earlier versions before the RISE program. So in the context of RISE, what SAP did is SAP did provide additional options, additional tools as in it's not a tool per se, additional options for the basis teams, whoever the basis team that comes either from the customer team or from the partner team. They simply use an additional interim underlying database that SAP provides as part of the RISE program. They can convert and then migrate it to a temporary underlying database source that SAP hosts, which is actually open for us, and we will simply convert this ECC into that system first. And then there is another way of actually system move. So all in all, this is the standard basis activity in itself, which was not open earlier, and it was made possible by opening that now by SAP. So in short, it's not a separate tool set. The standard SAP basis teams that have been actually supporting ECC to S4 conversions, they continue to be able to use this. They continue to be able to perform this activity with additional collaboration, of course, with SAP and coordination with SAP, because they host all these systems. They also own the OS layer in general. So we should be able to coordinate, and that is as part of the contract anyway. Partners and SAP are going to collaborate and perform that activity for the customers.
Yeah, just to add to that, there are a couple of areas, especially like, for instance, business partner conversion. In the ECC system, you had vendors and customers. In the S4HANA, you have the business partners. So that is one area which really affects the timeline, and you can do it well in advance as well. So we always recommend that as pre-projects. So now, if you have a tool, it can be done manually, the way SAP has laid it out to be. But you can also kind of, you have several partners who come with a tool, and we also have our own tool that way, and which kind of tells you which are the customers and vendors that can be ported directly and converted into business partners. You can evaluate those customers and vendors and check if there are any numbering conflicts and so on, because in the ECC system the numbering was quite independent when it comes to vendors and customers, whereas in the S4HANA system it needs to be harmonized. So that's one consideration. Another consideration was the way the MRP was used, MRP area was used. Now SAP has made it mandatory. So there are in the past we used to do it from configuration as well as from the master data. You had several options of doing it, but now you are being forced to really doing it in the configuration. So there is a tool that can be leveraged to check that and automatically kind of ensure that that consistency is maintained. And then there's this third, from the financial point of view. Now there are several ledgers. Every company has several ledgers and several years of data that needs to be migrated. Now if you have to really compare between before conversion and after conversion, the data, it takes a lot of time. And especially when you are at the cutover, any time that you can save is always valuable. So through our experience, and I'm sure that most of the partners have in their tool set as well, so we have developed a tool that can really shorten this entire process. Typically, when we used to do it manually, it used to take us almost about 24 hours to compare all the ledgers and then sign off on that. Now it takes not more than half an hour. So that's how much advantage you get with the tool. So these are some of the tools that you can leverage for your transformation using the conversion rule.
Okay, great. Another question for you. One of the things that we've definitely seen in SAP Insider Research is that many organizations are running multi-vendor environments. They have third-party solutions that they're integrating with their SAP landscape. How does the Rise with SAP program deal with third-party solutions? Have you sort of run into any restrictions or problems that organizations might potentially encounter?
Sridhar, you want to take that?
Yes. So once again, third-party solutions are currently integrated with your ECC landscape, or if you are already on an S4, either it is an on-prem or a cloud. Let us assume you are currently on ECC because we are talking about business transformation anyway. So they are already integrated. Now in the future state, especially if you are moving towards an S4HANA cloud-based solution under the RISE program, then these third-party solutions need to be reintegrated. Now, existing integrations may have been with a middleware, which is an SAP middleware or a non-SAP middleware also, like a PAPO or a Delbumi or a MuleSoft and so on. So it has to be not implemented per se, but it has to be redirected, reconnected. All those third-party solutions need to be reconnected. That is on one side from an integration standpoint. Now there could be some other third-party solutions that are already embedded inside ECC as ABAP add-ons. Now many of these ABAP add-ons are already certified for S4HANA, be it an S4HANA on-prem solution or be it on an S4HANA on cloud or a cloud solution, SaaS solution. So as long as they are recertified by SAP, the integration is still seamless. They have to be, of course, adjusted if need be based on the S4HANA product, which would have already been taken care by the product company. So the third-party solutions reintegration, reconnections, while that has to be established, there are newer ways to establish that. You may not need a PIPO of a or equivalent on-prem oriented solution going forward. You could leverage an SAP integration suite that comes as part of the SAP Business Technology Platform that is also bundled as part of the Rise with SAP program. So you can migrate those if you want, or you can still leave those as is and you can reintegrate that with the business technology platform. So in short, all of these third-party solutions can be reintegrated with not a lot of effort. There will be some effort for sure, but not a lot of effort.
Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, okay, that's good. Good to know. Great information. So I think we have time for perhaps just one more question. You know, if an organization wants to move from Rise with SAP to some sort of on-premise hosted environment later, maybe AWS or Azure with a third party, is there a path for them to do that? You know, what are the alternatives that they have? Sridhar, maybe start with you.
Yeah, but I missed the first portion of the question. Would you mind repeating that, please, Robert? I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Sorry. If someone wants to, it starts off with Rise with SAP and then wants to move later to a different environment, maybe some sort of on-premise hosted environment or something, you know, managed by AWS to Azure with a third party, is there a path for them to move their service provider?
Okay, let us actually take a step back and let me re-explain one of the points. You are currently on ECC, let us say, and ECC is an on-prem solution in the first place. What is on-prem solution? I'm sure all of you are aware that they have been licensed as perpetual licenses and you would have installed it somewhere. And when that somewhere is, it could be your own data center. It could also be in some third-party private data centers and some public cloud data centers like AWS, Azure, or GCP, and so on. So they are currently there. Now, the primary difference with the Rise with SAP and the underlying S4 HANA cloud solution that comes, that's a SaaS solution. It's a software as a service. SAP will actually host that S4 HANA on cloud edition in one of their data centers. Their data centers is actually, to be very honest, is of choice for the customers. In the sense, Rise with SAP as a program and the underlying technology components, be it S4 HANA cloud solution or the BTP platform and so on, are actually hosted by SAP based on what the customer wants. A customer wants the Rise with SAP bundle and the underlying S4 HANA cloud to be hosted in an Azure environment. The reason being, they have some other third party or other additional services or other solutions in their IT landscape already running on Azure. And they probably might see some benefit of, you know, if this S4 HANA system cloud solution, which is eventually hosted through SAP, because the contract is going to be with SAP, if this were also to be hosted in Azure, there could be easier integration. That is one of the customer's requirements and probably the reason. Yes, SAP accepts that, and SAP will host the S4 HANA Cloud Edition as part of this Rise with SAP in an Azure environment and gives that to you. And you can actually seamlessly integrate that with your other third-party applications running, or even an SAP application running on-prem, which is running actually in Azure, hosted in Azure. You can still integrate that easily because this is also an Azure. The other systems are also running on Azure because there is a native integration that is possible. If it is AWS that you have, you can actually have that. Rise with SAP bundle can be hosted inside AWS through SAP. So it is a customer's choice. So with that customer choice is already kind of embedded as an option into the Rise with SAP bundle, it is even more easier for the customers to choose what is a target Rise with SAP bundle to be hosted by SAP, and then you can actually ask for it. So in a way, in short, all the other systems wherever they are running can easily be reintegrated with the Rise with SAP bundle and the underlying S/4HANA cloud.
Yeah.
All right, very detailed explanation there, Sridhar. Thank you for that.
Robert, just to add to that, this is something that Rise with SAP is pretty new, but as per the contract, you have a right to all your data, which means that you have a right to your configuration data, your master data, and your transaction data. And should you choose at a later date to move to an on-prem system, then that would be possible. I mean, you can take all the data and then host it on a private, and then maybe you can own it yourself at a later date. But there might be some licensing implications there coming in, because this is a SaaS model, and this is going to be, and when you put it on an on-prem model, then the question of you own your licenses, right? So you bring your own licenses to the table. So that there may be some implications there, but it is as an option for owning all your data and then hosting it yourself and running it just like the way you run your on-prem system today. That could be possible.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. If we did not get to your question, someone will follow up with you within the next few business days. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Shortly after the event, just as a reminder, you will receive an email reminder to access the presentation on demand along with today's slide presentation. So on behalf of Jude and Sridhar and from Yash, thank you so much for your time and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
For organizing this event to SAP Insider. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.